Howdy, folks. I'm Jeremy Clifton, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Lone Star Backroads TV. This is an occasional video series where I share interesting stories and history I discover while exploring Texas and some of the lesser states. Well, it's election day here in the United States, and I, for one, am glad it's here. While I'm thankful to live in a country where I'm able to vote, I'll be glad to be able to go to my mailbox without finding a small crop of political flyers inside and to put the incessant campaign ads, phone calls, and text messages behind me, at least for a few months. If there's one thing that most folks I know agree on, regardless of their political views, it's that politics has gotten considerably uglier in the past few years. Well, as a student of history, I have to disagree with that statement. 135 years ago, during the 1884 presidential election, supporters of Republican candidate James Blaine taunted his opponent, Grover Cleveland, who had fathered an illegitimate child in a scandal so sordid it would offend most modern sensibilities, with "Ma, Ma, where's my pa?" Cleveland supporters, for their part, didn't turn the other cheek, but responded with "Blaine, Blaine, James G. Blaine, the Continental Liar from the state of Maine." And all that's pretty tame compared to incidents like the caning of Charles Sumner on the United States Senate floor in 1856, or the Burr-Hamilton duel of 1804 that left Alexander Hamilton dead. Well, not too long after the ugly 1884 presidential election, an ugly political disagreement broke out in Meridian, the county seat of Bosque County. These days, if you were to drive through Meridian, you'd think it's pretty peaceful. There isn't even a stoplight on the town square. Just a flashing light in the centerpiece of the town is the beautiful 1886 courthouse, which was designed by J.J. Kane of Fort Worth, who incidentally also served as the first president of the Texas Society of Architects. If you take a closer look at the courthouse, you'll see lots of attractive details. But when you come to the cornerstone, you might notice something a little odd. It only lists the names of 2 county commissioners plus the county judge, and there appears to be a bit of empty space there. That, my friends, is a clue to the ugly disagreement to which I alluded earlier. Back in 1875, Bosque County built its 3rd courthouse. Well, that courthouse hadn't even made it to Sweet 16 when some folks in the county decided they needed a newer courthouse. They said the existing building wasn't big enough and was starting to fall apart. Maybe, maybe not. I suspect they were probably looking at some of the lovely courthouses being built across the state during that time period, like the 1883 courthouse that had just been erected down the road in Lampasas. Opponents, on the other hand, probably thought this was a fine example of wasteful government spending. One way or the other, the 4 county commissioners were split right down the middle on whether or not to replace the 1875 courthouse, with the county judge joining the new courthouse crowd. Well, Texas being Texas, it didn't take too long for the 2 pro-courthouse commissioners to start receiving death threats, and on the day the old building was to be demolished, one of the pro-courthouse commissioners was a little extra careful as he rode into town because he believed he might be ambushed. He wasn't. But when he arrived in town, he found an armed mob on the town square composed of folks who were intent on saving the old building. Well, the mob was dispersed without violence, but when the cornerstone was laid for the new courthouse, the 2 commissioners who had opposed its construction refused to allow their names to appear on it. It would seem that most of the county sided with them, as in the 1886 election, both of the new courthouse commissioners and the county judge were voted out of office before the new courthouse they had championed was even complete. I, for one, am glad Bosque County constructed its 1886 courthouse. I'm of the opinion it's one of the most beautiful in Texas. You can see its clock tower before you get into town from most any direction, and it's hard for me to imagine the town without it. And now for a little mystery. On the south side of the courthouse, by the entrance, there's a stone pillar that reads Study Club, 1825. I haven't been able to find any clues as to what the study club is or was, so if you know, please drop me a line and let me know. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you're able to get out and explore Texas soon. Historical information from this episode was taken from the Texas Escapes website, which is a fantastic source of information for all things Texas, including ghost towns, Texas courthouses, and more. Check it out when you have a chance.